Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 10 minutes to now still. So we got the first guest on still. They told me cool too, you get me? You say you ready?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Yeah, it's all good.
All right. Let me introduce him still. This is James SC, James Speaker's Corner. He's one of the prominent brothers who go down and challenges a lot of Muslims on their beliefs in Speaker's Corner still. But right now he's representing the great white hope for the white people. You're gonna try and get some redemption for white people right now still. So do your thing, James. Take over. I'll put my mic on mute.
Hey, I've taken my mic off mute. Hi, Leon, and hi, Dr. X. Yeah, I just wanted to maybe fact check you on a couple of things.
Okay.
I think the first one is this theory about Draco being and Dracos and somehow like a draconian being named after the star. Like maybe the thing is that the star, kind of the Dracos star, wasn't named the Dracos star until about 800 years after Dracos, the Athenian legislator, was alive. So the word draconian is named after the Athenian legislator from 200 BC, whereas the Dracos star was, named, hundreds of years later.
I'm not aware of that. What I'm making the relevance between is wickedness. So I don't know which way around it was. I'm saying, how comes that and that is together? You know what I'm saying? And why would somebody name, if my name is wicked as a human being, why would another human being see it right to name a star wicked? If Dracos as a wicked, a totalitarian human being on the planet Earth was in existence, why would you then name a star after him if you wasn't as a race wicked anyway?
So the Greek Dracos was an Athenian, and that was his name. But then the star, sort of the Draco star, that was named by a Roman person. So right, Draco in Latin means dragon. It doesn't mean kind of named after the Dracos, the Greek legislator. So they're different languages.
Right. So we're going to fact checking here. What I'm saying to you is that that's not the point. The fact is not that we're not historical. We're not talking about history. And me and you, we're not in a historical argument. My stance is that people of the European state, are wicked by nature and racist by nature, right? So in saying that and trying to back that up, so when you're doing all that, it doesn't change what I just said. The guy's name, the language, who mentioned language? It's nothing to do with that. The fact this guy is flipped it around to say one came before the other. But the word draconian means a wicked guy. So if the Greek legislator was a good guy, why would then draconian follow on to be a wickedness? And then why, and go back and again, why then would the star be named after something that's also to do with a guy that was, as a legislator, I could imagine him having that name and passing it on to be wicked. He was like, somebody would say, oh, like that's Hitler-esque.
Okay, you know well, let's move on from this then. But the constellation Draco is named for dragon from Latin. It's not named after the Greek guy. But let's move on from that. So
you're still missing the point. You're using stuff to say, well, and you're trying to nullify my point. And I'm saying that remember, mine's a theory. So therefore, you can always come with these facts. But what you can't change is the relationship they all have. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about a feeling people who I call the black people, who I call the original human beings, who sense other stuff a little bit further than you lot who are from another type of species of humanity or human beings who look at the world in a whole different way. We are more spiritual. You love buildings and things. You know what I'm saying? You're a thing-loving race. So I'm going to look at it from the way I feel about stuff. Like I said, how is it? The question is, you're going to go, well, that's not the right language, and that was done before that. But the connection stays the same. Because whether it was dragon, there's no good dragons. Mostly dragons, you know what I mean? Even in the Lord of the Rings, they're not about good people. You know what I'm saying? Even though the dragon and the serpent has various points in history that people look at and say, oh, it has a relevant in history. But dragons on the whole are not necessarily good. But anyway.
Okie dokie. Yeah. So So yeah, like secondly, I think it's worth pointing out that for most of human history, kind of tribes of humans and nations of humans were very cruel and exploitative, kind of across the world. You can find examples of massacres and enslavement and kind of small-scale genocides and that sort of thing. So this isn't a behavior particular to white people. This is unfortunately something that's in humanity that has only started being kind of rectified or reduced comparatively recently.
You just swept it and just named them as, you know, all these genocides. I know about that. I mentioned Pol Pot and yeah, there's stuff that's happened.
No, but even far before kind of the modern era.
Well, you talk about the Mongols and stuff like that. I mean, you can go back as well. But what I'm saying to you is that there's a group of people that existed, who are black people, who existed without no prisons. You know what I'm saying? They existed without no prisons, and it didn't seem as if they found anything to do with any sort of penal colony within their existence. So there was obviously a group of people that existed without that type of wickedness that was around them. You know, until later when they were toppled by the invading force. You know what I'm saying? And then we start to see from that point on the wickedness that you talk about is in time, because all of this is in over hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah, but even amongst African people, though, there was wars, there was slavery. For example, the Pygmy people of Congo were enslaved by the Bantu people.
Yeah, that's after the
white happened before colonialism.
Yeah, but no, that's before. Yeah, but white people got there though. You're talking about before colonialism. Before they enslaved the people of Africa, white people are already there. You know, by hiding, what white people tend to do, they hide themselves in the timeline. They don't tell you where they actually arrived at certain places until you go to other people who are deep historians who tell you when white people first arrived in Nigeria, when white people first arrived in the Gold Coast. They only get there because white people, in my opinion, in my theory, they're whisperers. They're troublemakers. They go when they stir trouble. They do it amongst themselves for jokes. You know what I mean? It's a normal way to behave. We are not designed that way, though, even in our modern time. So the point I'm making is that, yes, there might have been these people doing that. The slavery in Africa was nothing like, it wasn't a thing slavery. The slavery that you executed, this human slavery that you did in the West to black people, these human beings, was nothing like ever recorded anywhere else. The slavery in Africa was nothing to do with that. So to name the two as the same type of slavery, that's like saying wage slavery and chattel slavery is the same. They're two different types of slavery. So African slavery and Western slavery are completely different types of slavery. They've got different norms and values in terms of how they executed. The wars that started in Africa, you know what I'm saying? The way they fought was different to how they didn't wipe people out and enslave people and take away everything from them. They didn't do stuff like that. So I'm not saying that they're pure. I'm saying that white people have an alien way of performing on this planet that's not in line with the natural people of this planet. That's what I'm saying to this day.
All right. I don't think the historical record really justifies that.
Yeah, because you write the historical record. Because white people write the historical record. How can I listen to the people who wrote the record and they're liars? They're continually lying and hiding the truth. So why could I listen to them? I've got to figure out some things by piecing things together myself. So if you look at the record, you're not going to find shit.
What about when people who aren't white and decide to become historians or geneticists or those sorts of people, those sorts of academics, and they agree with the sort of mainstream consensus?
Yeah, they're black. These are the people that makes me the person I've just mentioned. Some of them. They're the people that make me who I am today. They're the ones who went below what white people is presenting at the historical records. They were able to go underneath that layer of books and see the other layer of books that you were hiding. And then they revealed them to people like me. I'm not the only one. What about them? Is that what you're asking? Well, they're here also here. We listen to them more than people who are quote unquote conscious will listen to them more than they listen to your Freuds and your Jungs and your historians.
But what I meant was that kind of this, you might call it the supposed white version of history, or like what the history that might be considered mainstream. The idea that kind of in Africa too, there was like horrible violence like everywhere else in the world. Kind of there are historians who subscribe to this idea who are, for instance, you know, Indian or Chinese or from many other kind of races that aren't white.
They're all white. They're all connected to white people, though. Like, you're talking about the Chinese. It depends on what part of the timeline that you're talking about. If you're talking about, people lived trying to survive for themselves, you know what I'm saying? But when invaders were people that wanted more, they wanted something they didn't have. So whoever those first invaders were the people who were the foreigners, wasn't they? They were the aliens.
So do you think that no African tribe ever invaded another African tribe?
That's later down in the timeline. What I'm trying to say is that humanity is black. You know what I mean? What you're trying to do is you're trying to have some kind of debate, like we debate in history and who's got the right times. I'm saying to you that, and again, let me postulate. I'm saying to you that white people are inherently racist. So wherever they've come from, they've been the foreigner to come to find us. Whatever we were doing. So that's the point I'm making. So, and whatever they were doing doesn't seem to be recorded of chopping people's head off, hung, drawing and quartered them, raping their children and their mothers, and none of that seems to be recorded in your own recording. So when you're talking about this never happened, we're talking about the level at which white people, the savagery as white people have operated over the years throughout the continent. So and then the other people who were also quite vicious were the Mongolians. But then,
would you call Native Americans, like Mesoamericans and the people native and indigenous to Mexico, would you call them white?
Well, the original people were black, but they were invaded by they had a god, or they had some being that had came to place that made them sacrifice people to its bloodlust. But prior to that, there was no bloodlust.
So you think that
they always lived entirely under the bloodlust. But what white people present in their history is only that part of their era, when this Quetzalcoatl came to be. That's when the bloodlust started to be practiced.
So human sacrifice was a white introduced thing.
I don't know if it was white introduced. What I'm saying is that an alien came, whether he's white or not. But I'm saying that the human beings on the planet Earth, which were black, according to my theory, were never built to be that wicked. That's what I'm saying. That's the way that's how they managed to walk and murder them off in such numbers and create the great equalizer, because physically we were born for this planet. So these people needed something else to equate themselves with the level of physical supremeness these beings had. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. I know what you're saying. You're trying to measure up like, well, you got it wrong because they drink blood, but you don't know enough, like what I know, in order to say, well, I understand why what that bloodlust and that walking on the red carpet's all about. You know what I'm saying? There's no black people anywhere that walks on the red carpet. But, you know what I'm saying? So it's coming from somewhere alien. This particular bloodlust that you're talking about in terms of Mesoamerica.
All right, I think
that's why they went so high. The monuments went to the sky. They were worshiping sky gods. There was something else happening on the planet at that time. It wasn't their way, but maybe they were protecting themselves from something. I don't know. There's more. You can't do it all in one lifetime. There's more to it than meets the eye. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, maybe I'll leave some links to some evidences about what I'm talking about in the comment section after this video has finished.
But that doesn't. Whether you leave links or not, I haven't just started to do this last week. I've watched documentaries. I've seen the artists' depictions. You know what I'm saying on that era. What's the difference? I'm saying there's stuff that's hidden. So if you even make these connections, it's still gonna. How are you gonna answer when they don't believe in these other? If you don't believe in this other type of entity, then it won't make no sense. If you want to just believe in earthly entities, if you're gonna come and give me a Christian doctrine based around Jehovah, then there's lots of stuff you're not gonna know, and you're gonna give me all the things that relate to that. That doesn't make no sense. How's it gonna make any sense? Because there's lots of videos right now on Mesoamerica on the internet. It's not hard to find. There's books written. These things are not hard to find in this age. You know what I mean? Any links that you can give me, I'm sure I can find for myself.
Okay, sure. And then I know the final point I wanted to make is that I know earlier in the stream you presented this idea that kind of Indians and East Asians are white or connected to white people. Could you kind of elaborate on that a bit?
Because somehow the DNA, like the Aryans got there, and anywhere, this is my theory, right? Anywhere where you see the suppression of the black human being has been, is connected to whatever agency that white person that white and their white kind come. Remember, I'm not. You see, the only reason why white people get mentioned a lot because I don't come from an era where Koreans conquered me. I don't come from an era where Indians conquered me, but I can see Indians and Koreans and Chinese people taking as much advantage of us as any of the white races. You see what I'm saying? I can see the same things happening. So if you're going to draw timelines and stuff like that, and these people moved over here, somebody said, well, the Mongolians are different, and that's not. I'm not getting at that. I'm not getting at precise historical timelines for somebody to come and argue it historically in terms of or anthropologically. I'm saying there's a connection between them because they operate the same.
Okay, so you aren't claiming that they're kind of genetically related or kind of share close common ancestry.
Yeah, some of them do. Yeah, of course they do. They probably didn't originate with the same common ancestry, but they share the same ancestry now. There's lots of we share the same ancestry with white people now.
But I mean,
you're talking about going back anthropologically to a time when they found some skulls, but that's not. What does that prove? That's an anthropological argument. We're talking about behavioralism and why black people are in terms of my argument anyway, they live. You know what I'm saying? It's about these types of people that live amongst us. You know what I'm saying? I'm not arguing an anthropological argument, but a part of what I've got to talk about will involve that. This is an anthropological argument for anthropological people. To say, well, the first man came from rare, and they drifted over in this amount of, at this time within this period of time, and the anthropologists can sit down and thrash that out. What the hell I didn't spend half my life doing that. They're going to know much more than me.
Okay.
But what I do know and feel and have seen is the behavior of all these groups across the continent and what they do to the original people of that area.
So earlier you kind of mentioned, for example, mitochondrial Eve, which is a finding by scientists.
Yeah.
So kind of, can you explain why you're you will accept the kind of scientific research on mitochondrial Eve, but you might reject some of the scientific research on other matters, like for example, this idea that the original people of Native America or China were black.
I'm sorry. So you want me to do what?
So I'm just wondering why it is that you accept kind of scientific research on mitochondrial Eve and like anthropological research on mitochondrial Eve, but you don't accept kind of similar research which would indicate that the indigenous original people of say China or the Americas, that scientific and anthropological research does not show that the original people were black.
Yeah. Well, because I have to pick. I told you I have to feel and pick and choose, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? This is what everybody does. I feel and pick and choose.
What's your methodology for deciding whether some piece of research is true or not?
Information out there that's not on the regular timeline about the black samurai, which just seems to doesn't not talked about. Is there other information in terms of the fact that the Chinese shade from the sun and no black people on the planet shades from the sun? There's loads of little stuff that other underground people write about that points to that. Not this shit. All your sciences are shared. So if they talk about mitochondrial Eve or the fact that they got the cheddar man of Britain, who's as a dark skinned black man basically with yellow eyes, with blue eyes and long hair, I feel there's some discrepancy there. I don't think anybody needed blue eyes back in them days. I think all human beings, in terms of my understanding, are black-haired and brown-eyed. I don't know where these other people come from. So you're asking me whether I accept it, because I'm saying it follows a particular pattern.
Okay.
As I said, it follows a particular pattern. I don't have to say, well, I'm gonna, everybody does the same thing. I don't do anything different to everybody else. Some people accept Darwinism and say, well, how come you don't follow this information, but you want to follow? Everybody's gonna follow the information the way they see it or where it leads them to. Everybody does the same thing. So you want to know why I do it? You need to ask everybody else why they do it, because it follows a pattern that they can relate to and they can drop information on.
Alrighty then. Okay. Yeah, those are kind of the main points I wanted to bring up. I'd just like to close by recommending that people if they want to sort of find out about the history of the human race, that they consult anthropologists and geneticists and historians and archaeologists, because I think they're the people who have studied the relevant evidence most carefully. So yeah, thanks for having me on. I'll duck out and let another person kind of question your beliefs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. They should definitely go to those people. Those people spend hundreds and hundreds of hours of their life focusing on just one particular part of the activity on this planet. So if you really want to go that deep, you should go to people who do that for real. I think there's nothing true said. But when you listen to someone like me, I'm going from strictly a point of my people. I'm not going from your point of trying to. I'm not in a historical argument with nobody. I'm not in an anthropological argument with anybody. I want to know why my people are feeling so much pain. I want to put out there to my people, or the people that I'm coming from or a part of, other ways of looking at the world other than through the eyes of these people. Obviously, you're gonna have to use you're gonna drink the water, the shit water that they come out of the tap. You're gonna have to drink. And it's shit, it's we've got, what I'm saying, there's stuff you have to do, but you wouldn't understand that because you're white.
Okay, but I don't think that, for example, in this day and age, like kind of since the year 2000, let's say, I don't think that institutions of learning like universities are intentionally publishing research in order to try and mislead or denigrate Black people. That is something that happened in the past, but I don't think there's good reason to believe that, it still happens today.
But James, that's your thinking. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean it's right, and that's my thing. Doesn't mean it's right. That's your thinking. But I'm saying to you, they're still punishing professors of tenure, who come up with alternative ideas that their structure doesn't. But they're still doing it. So I know what you're talking about. That's the same. It might be a much more subtle, just like the abuse of peoples today is still abuse, but it's more subtle. You can't say, well, they don't abuse people like they did in the 1500s. No, but they're still abusing people, but in a wholly different way. They don't enslave people like how they did, in the 1600s. Yeah, but they're still enslaving people, but in a whole another different way. You can't be saying that, oh, you don't think, and you can say that, but that's your thought pattern. I don't think that's true. Because our professors of tenure are still getting sacked from their jobs. They're still being pushed aside when they don't agree with the established thought pattern of the institution, or when they suggest a new and different way of looking at things. It's still happening today.
That's news to me. Could you perhaps name one of those?
On Google, professors of what's happening, and it will just come up, wouldn't it? It's not hard to find.
So I should search professors of tenure who have like had their positions revoked for alternative theories of Black history or something like that.
Not even Black history. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about anybody that presents something new. You're saying it doesn't still happen. You're saying what they used to do about Black people, they stopped doing. I'm saying that's what you're saying. I'm saying that if they're fucking with people of tenure right now today and people who are presenting different ideas, these are white people. So what do you think? So you think that they're going to be all holy and thou with Black people and the stuff about Black people? That's the point I'm making.
Okay, but if there's a phenomenon to, I don't know. So do you think it's directed towards Black people more than this persecution of professors?
Well, slavery was directed to Black people more. In chattel slavery, was definitely directed to Black more. The robbing and stealing of their property, was definitely directed to Black. What are you talking about? Of course, it's directed more to them. But what you're trying to do, you're trying to argue some kind of white point where you seem to think the whole world has gone equal or something. Well, I live in it, and a lot of people who are living it realize that's not how it goes.
I wouldn't make that claim. I'd make that claim kind of about, I know, the field of archaeology or the field of genetics. Like, I don't believe that those kind of bodies of scientists and researchers are kind of producing propaganda to try and help white people or denigrate Black people.
Oh no! So the Darwin theory and the fear of the Mormons don't still exist? I don't understand what you're talking about.
So Darwin lived kind of 200 years ago. I mean, modern geneticists aren't interested in trying to denigrate Black people.
Oh, what? No, no, you're saying that. That's what you're saying because you're saying it because you're not one of them. You're just saying it because that's how you feel about it. But that's not how I feel about it. So we're dealing with two separate feelings here.
But what's your
Mine.
evidence for it?
What's your evidence for it?
So
What's your evidence?
one piece of evidence would be the fact that kind of geneticists are drawn from all races. You know, you have kind of Europeans, you have East Asians, you have people from South America, you have black people working as geneticists.
Right. And also, and you have bodies of institutions that only let through certain types of information as well within those quarters. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you've got black politicians who still execute the white racist agenda. That has nothing to do with you. I mean, I don't know what ideology you're living in, but I'm telling you about the one. I'm only talking about the one I'm living in, and people like me are living in. The fact that you're going to see things in your sort of literal sort of black and white way and what's actually happening is two different things. So they're black and white geneticists, they're black and white politicians. We had a black president of so-called, in quotation marks, black president, a mixed race president who did nothing for black people. He made nothing for black people to go right as an individual race. So what's that got to do with you're clear? That's your evidence. That's fine. But my evidence says, contrary people who live in those, who work and will work towards that same agenda. It doesn't matter what color they are.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and it's a good point. But I think the difference is that when it comes to politics and I know the legal system or society in general, you can point to evidence of discrimination against black people, but like can you do the same for within the academic within genetics research or within anthropology research?
Well, one of the first things, the most modern things is a cheddar man with blue eyes. You know what I'm saying? There would be no need for a man of that at that period in time for eyes to be blue, because then they say the blue is based upon the light. So if he was born in Britain on a planet that was mostly a sunshine planet, why would his eyes be blue? So that there's a genetic discrepancy there. He's a black-skinned person with blue eyes way back in the beginning of time.
But they're basing his blue eyes off DNA results, because there's a certain gene that codes for blue eyes, and Cheddar Man had it.
And so I don't understand how do you mean? So he had genes for a brown skin and genes for blue eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the DNA results reveal.
Okay, fair enough. But you believe that? I don't believe that.
But okay, so I don't think it's helpful to have that much skepticism about kind of fields like genetics and anthropology.
What I'm saying is this: white people are only trying. Man, this is trying to say it's Britain. So they've given you that much to make him brown. They could have made him brown eyes and black hair as well. That would fuck the whole thing up. You are not ready. You people are not ready for that. You white people are not ready for that. So I'm not saying it could be right, and what you said could be spot on. But according to the way I know how white people deal and they think across the ages and their mindsets across all the ages, they would make that guy. Why would he need to have blue eyes? They can tell you whatever they want to tell you. Why would he need to have blue eyes on a sun planet?
What evidence do you think?
When they first came out with the idea of blue eyes, it was to do with the light. So now you're saying that in a sun planet, when the light would have been, there was no light where there was. It was all dark. So this was a cave dweller with brown skin, with long white hair. It just doesn't make sense to me, and that's fine. Huh? You believe it, and you think it's you want to believe that. I don't want to believe that. How about that?
Okay, so I think so. We can do genetics today, and we can find out what gene causes people to have blue eyes. Okay, and that's that isn't very speculative. That's kind of based on pretty kind of clear evidence. But I think what you were talking about is when people try and speculate what caused this blue eye gene to spread, like what advantage did it give, then they would say something about sunlight, like you were talking about. But you're correct that people indigenous to the British Isles would have sometimes had brown eyes as well. This particular person, Cheddar Man, this kind of old body whose DNA they've examined, he had the gene for blue eyes, but he could have had brown eyes.
Like I said, you know what I'm saying? I don't, because this worldwide oppression of black people worldwide, There's no way. What, you know, they just happened. You're just saying that you agree that there must have been some with brown eyes, but they just happened to find a one with blue eyes
Well,
and
there
white.
aren't that many kind of corpses to find, and most
I'm
of
just
them
saying,
don't last that long.
it doesn't matter how many. It could have been one. You know what I'm saying? But it just happened to have blue eyes, considering there would have been brown-eyed people as well. And I would have suggested that in my mindset and from my knowledge point, it would have been more brown eyes than it would have been blue. But then again, who am I? I'm obviously not an anthropologist and not a geneticist. I am saying, again, I'll go back to what I'm saying before, that the way white people across the ages, yeah, they lie. You know what I'm saying? They're always lying and always masking the truth. So you can want to believe that because you're white. I'm saying I don't want to believe that because you're not truthful. So yes, I can understand that you was willing to give in to the fact that he's dark skinned. And like I said earlier, all human beings on the planet, if they started off where they're supposed to have started off, would have been black. So humanity itself was black. How white people ended up saying that black people were from monkeys and subhuman was the case, and make it legal to turn them into human carcasses and things to have for people to own, just shows them the mentality of that race. That's what's thrust from their government and the people. It just shows the mentality. That's what I'm saying. So if I then I'm not using your mentality where everybody's nice and everybody's truthful and everybody's on point. I'm not using that mentality. I'm using the mentality that has been exposed to me over the years against my people, against black people across the planet. So with that, I deal everything they deal with because they're not going to be truthful because they want to conquer the entire planet and they want to give people they want to give everybody pittance. Everybody that wants to help humanity, they give them pittance. You have a system of capitalism that gives people pittance and gives the individual huge amounts of power. Normal, stupid people who just have the ability to abuse other people, and you've made that a law. So why would I trust a group of people like that who
Okay. Can you think of any evidence that you would be shown that might kind of cause you to change that belief? Like, what do you think would have to happen in order for you to?
That's never going to happen in my time.
But can you imagine, like, what would it take for you to?
It wouldn't happen in this time. It wouldn't. I don't know what I have never got into that mindset of thinking to say what I'd imagine would happen because I don't have that type of imagination. But it's not going to happen in the next 10, 15, 20 years.
So would you say that your mindset is kind of currently unfalsifiable in that kind of no evidence that you can think of would cause you to kind of question what you believe currently?
Well, I'm sorry, when you said on what?
So do you think your current set of beliefs are unfalsifiable in that you can't imagine any sort of evidence that would make you believe differently from how you currently believe?
Everything is falsifiable. Everything is falsifiable. But I'm not. You're inducing that mindset as we speak. You're inducing that thought pattern as it's speaking. I haven't had time to go over that and peruse my own thought patterns in that element that you're trying to draw out of me now. So there's no way I could come to that as we speak on the spot. That requires thinking. It requires a process. It doesn't require. This is not a quiz show that I come up with a quick answer.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
A quick answer to you just because you want one. It takes everything that requires that has made me come to where I'm talking about today. Required a lot of process. I didn't just wake up one day and say, you know what, white people are devils and they need to, they need to. I didn't wake up one day and come to that conclusion, which is is almost like what you want me to do right now. It's like, when would you ever be? You get what I'm saying? Which is it's a typical white question, always trying to fabricate an environment that you must think in reality. If the environment is fabricated, then the answer can be fabricated. I can say, well, no, never. I could say, yeah, it's true. I can say whatever I want. Let there be, talk about now what we just talked about. And I'm saying right now, in terms of where I'm at in my life and what I've found out through reading books and documentaries from black and white people, there's nothing white people are going to do within the next 100 years. I won't be around. That's all I can say. So I don't know. But I can tell you now that they are no way looking to make the world a better place to live in. They're proving it, and as I did my show, Hollywood Effect, they're proving it by their movies. They have no intention of making this world a better place for human beings to live on, whoever's running this planet. And they're mostly white.
Do you not think that there are kind of different systems within, like, let's call it white society? There are kind of different systems, and kind of maybe some run a bit differently from others. So, for example, I'd put to you that the academic system, the kind of research system that looks into genetics and anthropology and medicine and these sorts of things, that one is less liable to kind of prejudice or wanting to continue a worldview that would denigrate Black people. Do you think there's any potential for that being the case?
No, well, not immediately. I mean, there's always an evolution. That's why we're not in. That's why we're not chattel slaves now. We're a different type of slave now. So we've evolved, or we've evolved out of the situation of being somebody able to kick us in our teeth and murder us at will, to a position where they're able to kill us with another authority at will, and do what they want and get off. So so the wheels of white change is slow and deliberate. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't want to give ground to anything that's going to put in a less than favorable position. So you won't see the cheddar man as a fully Black man, because then it changes their position. And white people are not the white people that dominate this planet are arrogant as fuck. They don't give a fuck about anybody else but themselves and their family. That's how they live. They don't give a fuck about nobody. They never have done. They're generations of the same DNA. What makes you think they've changed? You know what I mean? They only can change, especially when they're breeding amongst each other. The only thing that changes them is when they they've always said in genetics that you can change the way the gene evolves by mixing. And so the ones who are not mixing, the people who've been generations of South Africa, you know what I'm saying? They've come here with the same. The teachers are racist under the quiet. They're still racist, even though they're trying to work under the element of school system and the element of, and yet they're still racist. The children are still feeling their racism. The South, I wouldn't say all of them, but it's in the gene. It's in the part of the behavioral and cultural norm of white people to be racist. Mm-hmm. So so any law, sports, anthropology, paleontology, cosmetology, if what they see puts them at a disadvantage, they hide it. They create laws that says, I can steal all your property from you, give you some money, and then you can't tell anyone. But in order to get this extra money, you've got to say you're not going to tell anyone.
So, well, concerning like just the example of Cheddar Man, in order to kind of mislead people and lie and say that this old corpse had blue eyes when in fact he didn't, that would require a large conspiracy of people lying and trying to hide the truth. A large conspiracy of people. It would need a large conspiracy of people who are all of the same, or all of different races. Sorry. So I think you've unfortunately kind of fallen into kind of conspiratorial thinking, which, and I don't think it helps for reliable knowledge accumulation. Yeah, it's not based on evidence.
You're white, bro. You're white. You're not gonna. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna understand it because you're white. You're talking about conspiratorial, and yet there's evidence that there's evidence that the building in 911 was blown up, man-made blown up. But yet they're gonna feed the world that, oh no, it wasn't. But yet there's untold evidence by many average everyday Joes and people who are qualified in blowing up buildings and stuff like that, and pilots, loads of everything. And yet it's still on the timeline as a terrorist attack.
Yeah, I don't mean to say that every single conspiracy theory is wrong, but there is a certain sort of thinking that kind of.
Yeah, but if it is,
in order to be valid, it would require an unlikely number of people to be lying, and that kind of thinking, like,
because you don't want to believe that. That's what you're saying. You're white, so you're gonna have to say that because you again, you're uncomfortable with that position. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to say that. I don't have to say that because I'm not scared of your position.
Okay. I'm going to I'm gonna kind of let some duck out and let someone else.
I was gonna say, man's been on for like 40 minutes now, X.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I was supposed to pay John earlier still, cause obviously. Yeah.
Well, you should have stopped it, bro.
No, it's my fault still, my bad. Someone else is gonna come on still, but.
Yeah, thanks for Leon, and thanks kind of Dr. X. Have a good evening.
Respect. Cause you know what it was. I didn't want to feel like man's trying to save man or something like that. You get me? Where he's challenging man's
All right, that's all right.
point of view and all of that. But
you see, that's why I talk about the feeling. Sometimes it's how you feel, bro. And if that's how you felt, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, but definitely, for everybody that's gonna come on, like from now, you get me? Like, obviously, man's supposed to be we're trying to make it like 5-10 minutes each person, so the next person can jump on as well. You get me? So
Cool.
just bear that in mind. Obviously, this call, it might not be as long as the next one, but I'm gonna interrupt like as we're approaching the 5-minute mark, 10-minute mark, and just let you know that we're approaching there. You get me? So you can let me know if you want to continue on or move on to the next one. You get me?
Straight. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. See you soon.
In the argument myself, I wanna, you know what I mean? So sometimes I didn't even realize that out there. I wasn't even thinking. But go on.
Let's see. All right. Yeah. Next call is in there now still.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, so.
Hey, how you doing, man? Doctor, I'm Ralph.
Yeah, cool.
Peace, John fam. How are you, man?
I'm good, bro. I spoke to you before, didn't I?
I think very briefly, yeah. I caught the tail end of one of your things that was quite good, and then I think I caught you right to the end, so you're already in mid-flight. I was listening to this and I've got some questions for you, and I'm very curious. So,
yeah.
So I think I agree with lots of things you say, which is kind of funny, though. Obviously, everyone agrees on some things and disagrees with others. But I'm I've always in trouble for my views for things on race and culture and everything else that, let's just say, extremely right-wing views. And I find myself agreeing with lots of things you say because I believe that black flight coming from the right will only be solved by black power. And black power ultimately will only come from black pride and black self-esteem. So my first question to you is, would you agree that if you take the comparison between, say, India, because I'm half Indian, and say any African country that was colonized, the biggest difference is the countries that have shaken off colonization don't have a victim mentality. It's very difficult to go around India to find anyone really hating the British for what was done to India. You never see Indians go around complaining in the world going, but because the British enslaved us as colonizers for a century now, or because the Muslims did it for 2.5 centuries, that somehow we're stuck in the past. In fact, they've escaped from those mental chains of slavery, and now they're dominating. So would you agree there's a difference?
A small group of people, again, you're still talking about Indians who have had to run out of India to come to these foreign countries for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Leaving a whole bunch of poverty in India.
Yeah.
The poverty in India is very, very high. It's the same greed. It's the same white, it's all about me mentality you lot are using. You talk about not victim mentality. It's wholly for victims in your country. People shitting in the streets and all kinds of shit. So I don't understand. You got the same
mindset. I separate that from a victim mentality from just poverty.
Yeah, but you're talking about war. This is when you talk about victim mentality. You lot have already got to jump because you own all and the like kinds because they got places to make weapons in India. When I talk about white people, I talk about white people and their like kind. Indians are the like kind of white people. That's what I'm saying to you. So you talk about victim mentality like I'm dealing with an economic argument. I'm dealing with an argument, a persona argument, where your persona joins onto the white man's persona. You are an abusive race. You abuse your own people.
Well, you're right. You're right there, Doctor, because you were wrong about one thing. The most racist people on the planet, by every measure, historically, by every study, it's not white people, it's Indians. Indians in every research poll constantly are the most. They're the most racist people. They don't want to live
in this free space. I want to be the cleverest man on earth argument. I'm talking about black people. I don't know about your research. That doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening to us as a people across the planet. That's what matters. It could be 12 million that say Indians are the most racist, but the people that affect us the most is white. So it doesn't matter.
Okay. So your concern is mainly for racism, not from, let's say, Indians or Chinese people against black people or white people against black people.
I'm saying, you saying you're rewording what I'm saying. I said you're just like them. Isn't that what I just said about Indians? I said you're just like them. You live with the same policies they do. Of the abuses of your own people, and the bigging up of those that can abuse people the most. So the people that abuse the most have the most money. It's simple. They don't have a fair system where the West ones, they have a system where if I can get a jump ahead of you by any means necessary, and I'm able to abuse you, I will.
I'm really happy you said that, actually, because that really ties in very closely to my political views. Because I believe that the way that society is organized and everything is organized is not around equality or justice, but around power. And
But that
if
means
you
you're
you
able
make
to
the claim that white people have used power over black people, and that is wrong, then either white people can't help themselves, you said it's in their nature, then either black people have to accept the fact that that power will always be over them, or they have to meet power with power.
Well,
Because
that's
if
what I'm
you say it's in the white
saying.
man's blood,
The thing is, the
the
reason
white
why
man's
you
DNA,
what
right?
you call a, what you call a victim mentality is humanity. You're saying that humans should act like these savages. You're saying
Well,
that humans should turn brutal and savage, like how these people who occupy the planet and who have used this particular method to, like to explode bombs, you know what I'm saying, in people's country, killing over, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, the murdering and raping people. And you're saying that black people must respond in like so that we're no longer under that. That's not going to happen.
no, I'm saying deeper than
That
that. I'm
breaks me
saying
right
deeper than
down.
that. I'm saying deeper. I'm saying that's where we all have come from in a state of nature. It is only very recently, very, very recently, only a few hundred years ago, that we've actually traded violence for a universal collectivism. We don't have to go very back, white, black, brown. We are predominantly, like you've said, primates, right? Yeah, we came from black people in Africa, but we came from chimps before that. Most of
But
our
then
biology is physical, right?
these are arguments. There's all different types of argument because it depends on your line of thinking. I don't believe in the chimp idea. I believe there's something to do with something that is missing. Like they go so far and they go, oh, there's a missing link. So therefore, that means the argument is not really succinct and full. There's missing
Let's
bits.
pretend there's no chimp ancestry to keep that simple. But would you agree that we're fundamentally Mike Tyson said it best, right? Everyone's got a plan until he gets punched in the face. If I were to hit someone in the face, it takes less than 2 seconds for the adrenaline rush to take over their cortex. You're not thinking after 1.5 seconds. Your biology is in animal mode. So we have
So
come from
what's the
animals.
point you're making? What's the point you're making?
So my point is deeper, is that if it is natural and animalistic, or let's say white people are the worst, and they've been the best at this oppression, they've been the best at the evil, they've been the best at being bad, then if that is the expression of power, then either you must say, I want to be like Gandhi university people and look at them and say they're bad, or I can't complain about my position and I must create black power.
Right.
I'm curious, which is it? Do you want to accept a humanitarian position that loses, or do you want to accept black power? I'm not sure where you stand.
You can't. I'm trying to tell you they're alien. That my view is they're alien. That method that you call animalistic. What animal behaves in that manner? There's no animal that just lashes out and punch for no apparent reason, or to, you know what I'm saying, unless it's dealing with finding its own place on the earth, or its own power, or its own I don't know, range or whatever. It's like, you're trying to get into its range and take its women, or you're trying to get up. That's the end. So the animalistic thing, this behavior is alien. It's not animalistic.
Isn't it? Because even if you look at little dog puppies, or if you look at little lion puppies, if you look at the males, they fight as a form of socializing. They don't fight to hurt each other. They fight to socialize, right? They posture. They
Yeah, but they
posture.
don't
Big
bite
size.
each other's leg off to socialize, do they? They don't break each other's jaws when they're fighting. That's social fighting. We, having jokes and running fun. That's social. But
Okay,
then, taking somebody's life away and making somebody live in utter poverty. That's not fun. Is that what white people children play at when they're playing a society in their house or Monopoly? How much people they can rip off,
I don't
and
have
how
a
they go
problem.
back into black communities. How the government can rip off, take houses that black people have already bought, give them flat fees for them, and then turn them into estates to feed back that same government, and then say that black people, they're this, that, and the other.
So here's my
You know what I'm
question then. My question still holds. Is it either, if you think about it, either you accept that one group, call it white for now, let's pretend it's whitey, one group is doing this thing, this aggression, this oppression, this injustice to you. Your choice is either to accept it and know your place, or to resist and fight it. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I'm doing. We're all existing in the
So,
ways
so,
we
so,
can.
so
Yeah,
wouldn't the
so
way to, so let's pretend Whitey's never going to stop being bad. And it's in his blood, it's in his
you're the
DNA,
Indian,
it's in his
you're the
soul
Indian,
to oppress
you're the
the
Chinese.
other. Wouldn't you
So
say the only way, if it's in his blood, it's in his genes, it's in his soul, to oppress the other, isn't the only answer to that either to live apart or to fight on his own game?
we are earthbound people. We live everywhere. The planet belongs to us, human beings.
Okay.
The the first people that occupied the planet. We don't have to do anything. You're talking about accepting the status quo as it stands and fighting it from there. We're saying that. As I said, let me finish. As I said to the earlier caller, we're a different type of species. We vibrate with the earth. We have other feelings other than logical and logistical and literary feelings. So we feel something totally different to what most people that are disconnected to this planet, these alien people, or the people that are alien in their behavior towards black people. Any race, Indian, Chinese, Pakistani, it doesn't matter. Any race that abuses the woman and pushes her to the back is not the original humanity. You know what I mean? Okay, remember, it's my hypothesis. So that's not so. So all this like giving way and then just curling up and dying. Nobody's curling up to death. But what I'm saying is that we have to accept, and we're accepting that they have both the Indians, all of them, they're all connected. They've like the British, they attack these people in the Chinese. They push back the dark-skinned people of China because they're all claiming that this thing that you're claiming that or the yellow people or the East Asians were all light-skinned. Why are they white? Why the Chinese over here now completely Caucasian and even whiter than some white people? So how are they evolving from yellow skin to white skin?
Okay, so there's two bits there.
And looked in the air and they just turned white.
Yeah. So we look at the evolution bit.
Hidden from the timeline. You know what I'm saying?
You look at the evolution.
Let me finish this point. There's all that stuff hidden from the timeline. So therefore, I can't prove what is and isn't hidden from the timeline. So I have to go with how I feel about certain things. Now, the people who are not solar induced, they don't understand feelings. That's why they're so wicked. If you're not solar induced, even there's some black people who are probably not solar induced. So you ain't gonna feel shit. But I sense that something will come about, but I don't know.
Okay, so let me say that let's pretend, if you leave the evolution for just a second, let's pretend everything you're saying is true and that it's in white people's nature and their DNA blood to always be oppressive and evil and they're really good at it. And let's just say, to make it worse, that they pick on black people the most. If you're making the claim that black people are above this and they want to retain this soul for humanity, then they simultaneously must accept the position that they will be oppressed. Or they say, no, we don't want to be oppressed, in which case they must take on the same traits as the oppressor to win the game. So if you're going to say, no, I want to preserve my humanity.
Why would that be the case? Why would that be the case? Otherwise, all the people of the Caribbean wouldn't have killed themselves. The people of India who are being oppressed by their own Indians wouldn't commit suicide. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not built to war and kill and maim and murder and steal and take. Everybody's not built like that.
So then you're just destined to be oppressed forever, right? You're destined to be oppressed, right?
To create a composite race that mirrors white people, that would be the end of the fucking planet. If you create a composite race that is exactly the same as white people, what the fuck left of the planet do you think? Murdering kids, murdering animals, destroying the earth, murdering the forestation, fucking up the water, mistreating people, giving people shit water to drink, using their money for leisure and power. If we create a version of that, you think the world would be a better place, yeah? Is that what you're thinking?
So why do you, just out of curiosity, why do you think all that murdering and rape, for example, why do you think that's done by white people?
They're alien. The Indians, the Aryans, and all these people, God knows.
No. Why do you think it's white people? Do you know of the top 100 countries? The top 1
are black. All the other light-skinned ones are connected to some other race. That's why they put. Why is it that on every continent the darker skinned people are put to the back? Because when they got there, whoever got there, they were there first. That's why on every continent, even in China, the darkest people of China are the worst off. The darkest people of the only people where dark people are not worst off is in Africa, and that's what they're heading for next in their conquering of the colonization of planet Earth. They've wiped out the black people of Europe. They've wiped out the black people of Ireland and Scotland. They've wiped out the black people all across. Well, not all across, but they've wiped out most of the people in Arabia. What are you talking about? So
I'm sorry, Doctor, just to interrupt you quickly, but that data is just not true. Just not true, right?
Well, you can say it's not true because you're only.
No. I'll tell you why. Because if you look at slavery, if you look at the continent, just give me a second, right? If you look at the continent of Africa, right? If you look at the Berlin Conference, of colonization and slavery, in 1950 roughly, Africa only had about 230 million people. Right now it has 1.1 billion people. So if you make the claim that Africans have been killed, no, they've quadrupled in population. both before and around slavery. So no, Africans have grown by 400%. No one is killing them. They're growing faster than anywhere else.
You're a joker.
They're not being killed, right?
The problem with all your statistical people is that you read out this stuff like they're facts. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. All I know is that Africans exist across the African continent. Obviously, we know that North Africa was annexed by Greeks. We know that they called people who were Moors were actually mixed race Greeks, mixed black. You know what I'm saying? We know there's lots of stuff that you're gonna give me all this stuff as if it's this actual fact because you can spot the numbers. It's what you not do.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. I get you, doctor. It's not data, it's the feeling and the heart, right? It's the feeling. Okay, can I ask you a different question? I won't talk for long, mate. Just a different question, yeah. Have you ever...
First, let me finish what I'm making. So when there's 100 people or 200 people, the continent of Africa is a black continent. It's been annexed by white people. So and they've come at different points in time. So to have this absolute proof based on your statistics are lying. They lie on a lot of their statistics. I'm not saying
I understand what you're saying. So let's drop all the statistics. Can I ask you a different question? Have you ever loved a white person in your life?
What do you mean?
Have you ever loved a white person, like a friend, a neighbor? Have you ever loved a white person?
That's irrelevant to what we're talking about, brother. I don't understand where that.
Because you're talking about soul now and not numbers. I'm just trying to talk to your soul. Have you ever loved a white person?
What are you talking about?
Have you ever loved a white friend, your neighbor's friend?
Over after I've told you I'm not answering it. Doesn't that help you? If I said I'm not answering it.
Okay. Last different questions. Has a white person ever loved you?
You've just reversed the same fucking question, bro.
I'm trying to work out if there's peace and love between white and black.
Okay, bro, white mamas fed black kids, fed white kids with their breast milk when they couldn't survive. The black Indians helped the people who landed on Plymouth Rock to live in America. What are you talking about? The Australians helped when the penal colony was coming in with their disease. They, even though they were getting wiped out, they were still helping them. They had white or black Australians running down other black Australians.
I know that. My question is personal, though.
Question as if you're trying to play some little slick.
No, not at all. I'll tell you what, not at all. I'll tell you what, it's much more open and genuine there. Because I think when you have racial division, be it between black or white or Indians and Pakistanis or Koreans and Chinese, the only solution is either love or hate.
Bro, yeah, but that's some pie in the sky talk. We're talking about real talk now. Yeah, I understand all of that. Yeah, but what we're talking about is the government of America, the government of China, the government of well, there's no government of Africa, but the government of all these European countries. That's what we're talking about now. Not it's love and hate and because they're not thinking about none of that, and they're the people we need to worry about, not what me and you. You see this little idea that you can split us up into sections and go. Because I said white people are this, it means all white people, and I hate white people. So you can ask me if I love one. It's stupidness. That's like some little game, like I'm a child.
No, it's the opposite way, doctors. I know very extreme white supremacists in my life, like very extreme white supremacists. And I asked them the same question. I asked them, have they ever loved a black person? So I asked them if they've ever loved a black person.
If love was in the genealogy of white people, they could have never enslaved black people like that, because black people could have never enslaved anybody like that. They couldn't live with themselves.
So you're saying white people can't love?
They could live with themselves. The Belgians could live with chopping off young children's hands and feet. You know what I'm saying? They could live with themselves doing that to another human race, and then turn around and pretend it's as if they never introduced it to the blacks, and so now the blacks are doing it. Oh, what savages!
So have you ever read any James Baldwin?
Sorry,
have you ever read any James Baldwin?
That level, the people where there's feelings is about the ones who still have the DNA of black people in them, who have moved away from the lord and mastership and the servile nature of their race. They love their lord and master within the European and European connected race.
So this is my point. Let me just interrupt quickly. There's only 10 minutes left of the show still, just to let you know.
I'll bail out, Leon. Just a couple of quick questions for the doctor.
And there's one sec though. No one else saying lined up to come on next, but just to let you know, so heads up next still.
Okay. I'll be off soon,
and now we've got 20.
Say again, X. I say one sec, Ralph. Say that again, X. What do you say?
What's that about?
There isn't one leader.
I can't hear.
There aren't even several leaders. We're all equal.
I can't hear. Come like, I never heard that last part still. I beg you repeat that one more time.
in the background talking
I
about we're
know.
all leaders
Yeah,
and shit.
I've been in the background, man. My bad, fam. Like I said, I've been trying to edit this
All
that
right.
protesting while I was filming in it, so I
Okay.
ain't been on point still, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man.
So sorry, yeah. So I'll bail out because other people waiting. So just a quick question to his homage. So I love the writings of James Baldwin, one of my black heroes literarily, and he has a very famous quote that really resonated with me. I'm going to ask you the question because from a famous black man to you, so I'm just mediating the question. And James Baldwin said, "The white man wants to know what we think and feel. The white man asks us what we want." And James Baldwin says, "Why ask the Negro what we want? You know exactly what I want." So my question to you, Doctor, is what do you want?
I'm not answering that question. No, I mean, that's irrelevant in this conversation. We're not asking soul searching questions there. Like, what do I want? My. I wouldn't say it's a soliloquy, but what I say, you can hear what I'm exposing. So it's clear. If you've got any sense, you can see that that's not what I want. You know what I'm saying? That much you do know. What I actually want to be able to articulate to you right at this moment, like I said to the other caller, I'm not in that position to be able to do that. There's too much, people are so used to trying to expose people by asking them deep and philosophical questions on the spot. You know what I'm saying? As if I have to answer.
I apologize. You don't have to answer. I was just curious myself. It was no trick, but that was all I had to say. Anyway, I bowed because I know Leon, I know other people want in and stuff. So thanks for having me on, man. Peace out, Doctor. Keep going. Keep the faith.
All right, bro.
Peace out, boys.
I respect. Peace. Yeah, X.
Yeah, how long we got left, bro? 10 minutes.
10 minutes still. Obviously, you can go for a bit longer if you wanted to. If there's things that you wanted to talk about that you ain't touched on yet, still.
Yeah, because I'm gonna finish at 11 still. But
Okay.
as I was saying, these I'm saying like we've got these two deep brothers that are asking me these types of questions about like I'm in control of something. You know what I'm saying? And this idea of putting power onto an individual like myself, you know what I mean? As a human being, you have to reject it. Because I, as a human being, don't have none of those type of powers they're asking for, and I don't have the ability to influence. These are almost like media tricks that they use to try to expose you and try to put you in an awkward position, and then call you back on what you said later down. And I'm not saying that's what they're trying to do. So it's something that I'm used to hearing along the time, all the time I've been doing this stuff. So I'm kind of getting used to how they go about, whether they help themselves or they mean it or not. I'm used to this is how they come to me. You know what I'm saying? And so it's important to know as a black man, you know what I'm saying? Trying to I don't know, just trying to expose a different way of looking at life. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, it's not just connected to myself, it's connected to generations of people. Just like Marcus Garvey, like I said, I'm not, my thing isn't, Karl Marx. My thing is Marcus Garvey. So just like, there's things that are going to affect people later down. I'm not a Marcus Garvey. I'm not a Malcolm X. I'm nobody at that level. I'm not at that tenure. I'm not at that level. I'm just a regular guy with a different viewpoint that's been speaking for a number of years on that viewpoint. I don't think I've got it all together. I don't think I'm right. I don't think none of that. But what I do know, or what I do think for myself, is that there is different things that we're not looking at. You know what I'm saying? There's things that we need to look at that we're not looking at to understand the brevity of what we're going through, what they're doing in Jamaica. These simplistic answers about, whether you love white people or have you ever loved a white person has nothing to do with what's going on in the rest of the planet. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with the murders of the blacks in Sudan. It has nothing to do with the putting 18 shots into a human being and saying that our justice system. It has nothing to do with finding no DNA on a man and wanting to sentence him to death and try to kill him because he's black. It has nothing to do with none of that. So what's the point of all of that? As if like somehow you can get some type of retribution from asking me a question: do I love everyone and what do I want? As if to say I've got some superior power. So if I say, yeah, what I really want, is love and harmony for everyone to live in love. Yeah. And then it sounds, deep and meaningful. No, it's a load of crap. You know what I mean? How many times have you heard that somebody say that bullshit? It's bullshit. That doesn't say I don't want peace and harmony, because I do. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that me saying that to somebody asking me, it's a load of crap. It means nothing. That's not a relevant question to ask any individual on a public forum. That's not what you ask somebody that. something like that, because it doesn't make no sense whatsoever. You can ask, somebody in private can ask me that, what do you think? And I'll say, but in the private, who cares what I want? All I'm doing is making a presentation about how they live. You know what I'm saying, and who they are. And the movie that I'm talking about is a film by John Carpenter. It's from 1988, so it's an old movie. But it sets up how there's a set of beings on the planet that he can recognize. I mean, it's kind of corny still, because obviously but if your mindset is about consciousness, and then you're trying to remain on that higher level of awareness, you will see through the bullshit and understand the basic plot line and understand the various pointers that the film is trying to sort of make you look at and say, well, bro, you know what, that makes sense. They're trying to get us to obey, they're trying to get us to, to not think and all that. And that's how they recognize these people, by putting on these glasses. So when I titled the name of this particular show, They Live, is that I was asking who they are they even human? And those people that were mentioned, they're in every race. They're in black, they're white, they're in every race. So then, you know what I'm saying? But I don't believe that they belong or they're about the human race, because the human race would not have teachers working 12-hour shifts and 16-hour shifts. You know what I'm saying? These people who are running this planet, they're not of human origin. That's what I'm saying. And I might be wrong. But what I'm saying is that by their behavior, by their economic system, you know what I'm saying? White people, you know what I'm saying, and their various like kinds, you know what I'm saying? They go around just killing animals for the sake of watching them die and calling it sport and calling it hunting and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, and people live with it. They rationalize that to themselves and say that that's good. Another being, you know what I'm saying, on this planet, an animal, because every time this is why you can always hear the people who are still stuck in the animalistic and the savage mindset of the Europeans, because they always refer to things that animals do as animal behavior. You know what I'm saying? And animals don't do anything apart from shitting where they walk. What is it they do and attack humans? What is it else that they do that is so unsynchronized and unnecessary? Do they go around just tearing up fucking human beings as they pass them? Do they go around raping other animals and just killing them and leaving them to die on the ground? You know what I'm saying? Is that what animals do? Do animals just sporadically attack other animals for no apparent reason? Animals don't do none of that stuff. So when they refer to animals as animals, you know what I'm saying, as certain behaviors animalistic, I'm saying, which part of the animal are you talking about? The attack of the animal, the claw of the animal, the blood that the animal leaves behind. Other than that, you know what I mean? Man is reptilian. Mine's ice cold. They got ice running through their vein. That you're gonna postulate on the national stadium in China that people should work from 9 till 9 for you as a human being, and then other people who are also on that platform don't feel no way to applaud him, you know what I'm saying, or try to find a way to get that going, so that other workers who are working, like, you just live working 9 to 5. Sorry, other workers are trying to, you know what I mean, are trying to buy that trainers that they're costing 50p to make, and you're paying £200 to buy, like you're an idiot. And this idiotic mindset that they got us in, just living in this tiny little circle of life, you know what I'm saying, we just consume, eat, and then die and not worry about anything else, is an alien mindset to this planet. This planet's supposed to be self-surviving. It's supposed to recycle itself. You know what I'm saying? But they waste and waste and waste, and they kill and they kill and they kill until they can't kill no more, and then they find something else. They say, oh, let's put this on this plot of land and stop killing them. They can't help themselves. This is what the white race is revealing itself to be, a murderous, you know what I'm saying, and a homicidal race that hates to see human beings live in utopia or in peace, because everywhere they've gone to, in terms of their taking over of the planet, people were living in peace and harmony. And all this fake, instead of saying, oh, what I'm saying is unprovable and unevident, a lot of the stuff that they're saying is what they wrote, which we don't even know if it's true, because they lie all the fucking time. You know what I'm saying? It's not about whether it's true or because they can reference something that they wrote. The same people that's got us under this type of capitalistic enslavement, this wage slavement, and got people of, like Dyson moving to China, or was it Japan, to get cheap labor to make his, like £400 Hoover. So you know them people in China, and they're black. When you go and look for them people, they're the darkest people of the race. They're not the white people of China that are doing this work. It's the dark-skinned people. If you want to call them yellow or brown or whatever, because they call them yellow because what they do is have to break up the world to make it seem like there's all different types of people. The people of North Africa were black. The people of the Caribbean were black. All the they've got paintings of these people as black people. The people of Australia were black. They got pinched, but but the narrative they give out is contrary to what the people them actually were. But you have to dig deep. You can't deal with the surface and the peripheral evidence that they're promoting on in their media. And their media, and when I say their media, I mean their schools is their media. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, they control their media. Once they see their media's exposing too much, they say, "Oh, you can't talk about this." And you know, as the caller said, I'm conspiratorial in my outlook. You know what I'm saying? That everything I think is a conspiracy, bro. I don't think anything's a conspiracy. I think these things are actually fucking happening. You know what I'm saying? But you've given it a name. White people have given it a name to offset what they're doing to people. You know what I'm saying? They've offset what they're doing to people. They, you know, in Britain, they're turning, you know, all of a sudden out of the blue, they're turning black people who helped to build this country, they turn them to shit. They can't help themselves. And you're telling me other white people voted them in. So that's in the white nature then, isn't it? They didn't, you know, the people are going, oh, Theresa May. They voted in her. That means a whole bunch of people says she represents how I think. Hitler didn't kill the people himself. His people did. Other human beings who were white killed the Jews who went to war. You know what I'm saying? White people colonized the Jewish religion, and they're not even, and a lot of them are not even Semitic. They're Russian. They're Caucasian. You know, and chanting sentence. How can you chant? It's like me saying I'm white, but I'm chanting anti-black slogans. You know what I'm saying? I'm white. Oh, you're being anti-black. But you're white though. How can you be saying that? So you got white people saying you're being anti-Semitic because they call themselves Jew-ish. They're not Jews, they're Jewish. They're part of a colonization of a religion to be part of the art of earth. But again, look what they're doing. Look what they're doing with their Jewishness. They're all the same. They colonized black music. Look at is it now? They bought out all the institutions of black music. That, you know, the record labels and all that. Look at the state of music now. They bought it. White people bought it out. They want every major company is owned by whites and Japanese. Look at the state of music now. But there was a time when black people had their own Jetstar. We had a whole heap of little outlets of black people could buy from black people and all that. And we had all these other types of music. Not the best. I'm not saying we had the best music, but now they're singing like us, acting like us, and calling our music their music. It's not fair. It's not like they're being fair about it. It's not like it's being balanced. They choose who they want. They've taken over music with X Factor and X this so they can control the music and the people that they want to see. Before we would say, oh, we like that girl. She's wicked. Or we don't like that girl. Now they're telling you, you know, they had this thing. You can't boo. All the things that made us establish who we were, they take from us and say they're superior. They're going to show you how to behave. And then they corrupt your shit. So you have to keep moving. The only thing that I haven't moved on is, you know, is hip hop, rap. Sorry, because they corrupted hip hop and turned it into rap, and then they celebrate prostitutes. I've told you this for years and years. They celebrate prostitutes, gangsters, drug selling, chemical selling of drugs, and the consumption of white-owned products. Yeah. That's why there hasn't been a turn. Now they're calling it trap music. So they're not trying to get it any better. They're finding different ways to make it sound more gutter. So it's gone. So maybe the next one will be prostitute music. I don't know. They're finding all these different ways. So it's gone from hip hop to rap to trap. You know, trap meaning the fucking, you know, place where you buy drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? We've completely lost it. We've completely lost it. And as I said, I'm about awareness and putting information out there. So at some point, like people come back to me now and said what I said about what was going to happen to hip hop now. I said, this is what's going to happen. Where it's at now, as I was talking about this 15 years ago. This is where it's going to end up. This is where it's at. So all I can keep doing is that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's nothing else I can do. There's no money to be made. There's no big enough of my status to be made because I'm not trying to make people believe in me. You know what I'm saying? And make people follow me. I'm trying to put out there another way of looking at what's going on to encourage other types of beings coming forward and other types of mentality coming forward. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to encourage. I'm not trying to be anything. I'm not trying to, you know, I want the world to be a better place. Of course I want the world. Who doesn't? Or who in their right mind consciously doesn't want the world to be better? But where they're heading, in terms of the people that control, they don't give a shit about you or the world being a better place. They give a shit about how much money they're going to make. And all the people who decide that, oh, I'm getting out of the ghetto, I want to get out of the ghetto, I want to, by any means necessary, I want to get money, they're just like them. You know what I'm saying? They're just like them. You know, it's a pity that Nipsey Hussle had to die. You know what I'm saying? This is 2019. This is May 2019. He's only been dead a few weeks. And, you know, the amount of, there's been nothing like this in such a, and this is what frightens white people, because these are things that they try to calculate everything. Just like, you know, just like when R. Kelly came out, they didn't calculate how much people that used to share the music amongst themselves, how much black people liked it and brought it to work, and then their friends heard it and all that. But they didn't, white people didn't bring forward R. Kelly, we did. Black people did. Black people like Kevin Hart, all these people then we do. And they follow on our suit. These are our people that we big up first. And then the people then go on later on to just sell us out, because the money and the law of money becomes so overwhelming that they forget about their people and decide that they're gonna, until they become unfunny, because the soul is gone. The rhythm to move and connect is gone. So what people laugh, what white people end up laughing at when they finally get to them, it's empty. You know what I'm saying? It's emptiness, it's just emptiness there, just a money turning machine there. But what we was laughing at the beginning was actually funny. What we're laughing at now is like, you know, I mean, most people are systemized or stuck in a system, they'll find them funny still, being black. The ones who are the real soul laughers, and people who actually, you know, come from that position, you know, that ain't funny. He ain't funny no more. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say he's not funny at all, and he doesn't have funny bits, but it's not the same. The same thing happened to Eddie Murphy. The soul went. Same thing happened to Richard Pryor. After a while, once you get in amongst them, the soul goes, man. They'll eat out of every inch and make you lust after what their fiat currency, and make you lust after it. And then you just lose it. So they'll live on. As I said, that's the film. John Carter, starring a guy called Roddy Piper. And if you get a chance to watch it, you'll understand how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's a different race of people. We are not the same race of people. We're a different race of people. We are not the same. As I said, you know what I mean? Horses bleed blood, and so does sheep. They're not the same. You know what I'm saying? So the idea that we have the same heart, you know, pigs have heart, and some human beings have got pig heart in them. Are they the same? So if you know, I know a man who's had a heart transplant and had a pig heart put in, a white man. Is he now a pig, or is he still a fucking human being? You know what I'm saying? It's because you've got a heart doesn't make you human. Because you've got blood doesn't make you human. Because you come from a womb doesn't make you human. You know, the only way you can really tell is about their humility and the way they behave amongst each other to see if it seems or feels human. So when people try to say they think they can imagine soul, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to literalize it. Then again, it's fantasy. And that's something that only those, you know, they have a saying, who feels it knows it. Only those who know. Those who don't, just don't. All right, so that'll be me. That'll be the end.
Yeah. I don't know X-Man.
Yeah, man.
Respect for doing your thing again.
Yeah. I mean, same. I mean, we'll do it the same time not next week, the following week.
Following week.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to promote it. I'm gonna try to promote it earlier. Still, it's my bad. Everybody for the late promotion. Still, X done told me I had the thing already. Still, man was mad busy over the last 2 weeks. Still, so yeah, I'm gonna try to get this one out early so people know from early and can prepare what they want to talk about, what questions they want to ask.
Yeah, it's good. It's good when you have specific questions. Like, no, you know what I'm saying. There's no, when it comes to debate, there's no real. It's not emotional like that. You know, we're gonna sound emotional. You know what I'm saying? And I can't be like a white guy if he feels all controlled. I'm controlled because I'm smashing up my computer or nothing. But the nature I have is the nature I have. I can't have another person's nature. As long as I'm in control, that's the main thing. So we do it the way we do it until whatever time, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, man. Yeah, respect, man.
We'll catch up soon, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Peace, man.
Bless.
And I'm sorry, I had to say big up to Rose for her contribution. Big up to all the people that bother to listen to me and bother to tune in and still, you know, think it's worth listening to. And you know what I mean, this is not competition. It's not to show off or to that. This is just stuff that you might disagree with. Mike can discuss with somebody else and decide whether I'm chatting shit or not. But this is not up. This is not meant to be for you to go, yeah, I know it all, and this is how it goes. And this is about to be like opening up different avenues. And some avenues you're going to agree with, and some avenues not. Some avenues you're going to seem as cool as done, think that's wrong, and think that's right. But these are views, and I think there's some of the views that we have needs to be challenged. That's all I'm saying. And this is about opening up other ways of thinking along the lines of white people and what's happening to black people across the planet. So with that, peace out, good night, and catch up. All right, bro.
All right, peace, man. We out. One.